Yeah. This is a good one. Recorded like all the early Triptide stuff on this. It's a 4-track tape. Stoned, probably. Shut the windows, lock the door, and let my shadow play. Answering the telephone and hearing someone say, my name's Glenn Brigman. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Kind of lived down in the suburbs and cul-de-sac, quiet street, pretty normal life. In Atlanta, we had an oldies station that would play like California Girls and like all these like kind of like West Coast pop sunshine bands. I just heard like all these voices. I couldn't even fathom what was happening. I just knew it was this sound. I didn't realize it was like all these harmonies and stuff. And I think it like hit me pretty deep in like a core part of my subconscious because I've always gravitated towards that sunshiny sound. My father was a piano player, and he encouraged us all to learn piano at a young age. But my brother got a guitar. I just wanted a guitar, and he had already got like a Fender Strat. And so when no one was home, I would go into my brother's room and just like open the case and like take the guitar out and tap the tabs and like I kind of learn something before anyone knows I'm here. And one time my brother comes home and I'm like playing his guitar. I was like, what the hell, man? You're playing my guitar? And I was like, wait, I can play a song. And I like showed my parents. I was like, and they were like, all right, we'll get him a damn guitar. I wanted to go to college in California, but my parents didn't want me to leave the South, so I chose to go to Indiana University. We got in the car with all my stuff, dropped me off at the dorms, tear to their eye, and that was the new chapter, man. As soon as I got there, I was in a rock and roll history class. I met Josh Menashe, who I started Triptides with. We liked a lot of the same stuff, and we came from similar backgrounds. I think he was more interested in making music than anything else. I mean, he had no qualms with like skipping school to like rock and stuff. And that was the most important thing in like the genesis of the band. I went home that summer, got a tape machine, like a little cassette player. And the next day I like set up mics like in my bedroom and had like a drum set in there. And I played the guitar and the drums at the same time. And I just like kept jamming over and over and recording. And one of those songs turned out to be like one of the first Triptide songs. It's like one mic or whatever. So that tape is so small, it only fits like one song. It's really dirty. That is like literally the first 4-track recording I ever made. That's why the drums sound like really stupidly. When I came back, we found a pad. It was cool because we had the giant basement. It didn't sound good, but we could have drums set up. We had a PA, we had our amps. We could practice, we could record. I found a Tascam Porta Studio. Without the little 4-track cassette machine, the band wouldn't have existed. I spent like endless hours just in the basement with headphones on, recording on the tape machine with Josh too. And it's like you only really need one person sometimes to like try and play through something, and then you're like, was that too long? You know, do we need another part there? And those were like probably the most collaborative times. We would just wake up and be like, rock? And be like, yeah, let's rock. We recorded 2 songs and we put them online on Bandcamp. And then like a couple days later, we Googled it. There was like a blog like reviewing it, like, love this sunshine surf rock from Indiana's Triptides. And we were like, holy shit. It was like a small blog or something, but we were just like, what? Someone likes it. Let's make an album, you know, like to the basement. Our first song was Venus is Cruel. All all the makings of the Sunshine Pop song, the mellow chords, the harmonized vocals on the chorus, simple lyrics like about love and, you know, heartbreak or whatever, but it's all lighthearted, it's fun, fun, fun all summer long, whatever. But we put some sort of psychedelic twists on it with the production. And I remember we like accidentally flanged the drums because we had only used like a couple mics in the room, so the guitar amp would bleed into the drum mic and there'd just be this natural like, you know, like the flange. You're like, well, that's really fucking trippy. We were doing 4-track stuff for Tropical Dreams and the Triptides EP, like drums, guitar, bass, vocals. And we would do overdubs all on cassette. So we would send all the cassette stuff into the computer, but we'd have to sync it up because the cassette played a different speed every time. It was pain in the ass, man. I made master tapes of the EPs and I printed out this giant glossy piece of paper of like all the little album J cards. And then I duplicate the tapes like by hand, push them into the J cards, and I'd put them on Bandcamp for sale. That whole 80s cassette duplicating mail-out culture was really cool for me in Indiana. The French label, who found us first, they found out about us when they heard Psychic Summer. And they said, hey, would you guys want to do a single with Going Under and Outlaw from Psychic Summer? And I was like, yeah? Vinyl? Really? You know, I was like disbelief, like, on my computer, like, I was like, holy crap, we're on a record, man. Like, it's just like we always wanted. Stroll On Records must have found out about us from that. So we gave him Sun Pavilion, our first, you know, actual official release on a label. In Sun Pavilion, there was some obvious modern psychedelic twists, just like using more phaser pedal and like the drumming a little bit more like groovy behind the beat. We weren't in the basement anymore. I'd moved out, found an apartment above a bakery. I would set up this tiny drum set and play really quiet, but like blast it onto the tape machine. Oh, and we had an 8-track machine now. I was like, all right, no computers. We're gonna do it all on the cassette as we're like playing the machine and like panning stuff. But I think Sun Pavilion has a cool character because it's just, yeah, it's fully analog, just straight off the cassette. So that was a huge change. Moved to another house. I had this huge bedroom. I had a Yamaha electric piano, Farfisa organ, full drum set. It was sweet, man. And that's when Dylan and I started jamming. I ran into him at a bar and he's like, yeah, man, I've got a few songs. Like, would you want to like record them with me? And I was like, yeah, whatever, man. It's Bloomington, Indiana. I'm bored as shit. Let's do it. I didn't know how far it was gonna go. I was like, you know, let's do a bass recording. I had the drum set, he had the guitar. I put like one microphone. And that turned out to be the Frankie and the Witchfingers Sidewalk album. Suddenly it's like, okay, is this kind of a band? Josh, best guitarist I know. I met Alex Bulli, and that became Frankie and the Witchfingers. There's a guitar, bass, keys. I'm you in the light of rolling. I'm inside, I'm always rolling. See me slide down the empty spiral. I revolve in a perfect circle. I am silent, you know, swearing. But the way like I tell you, baby. From the bed to a home of the trees. Like a stream to a stream of conscience. Looking into the big white eyes. 6,000 words, Dylan actually, he would just be like, let's keep recording. And I would push Dylan and Dylan would push me and be like, what's the new Frankie thing? You got a song? I'd be like, what's the song? What's that riff? Let's make it. You know, like I got the machine, mics are up, you wanna do it? You know, that kind of thing. And I think he just saw like the quick moving template of the way I was working with things. Around the time me and Dylan started doing Frankie and the Witchfingers, Dylan started playing with Triptides and we started recording. Contradictions was our record after that. Alex Bulli did the artwork. We recorded more digital, but we sent a lot of stuff back into the cassette machine because we missed the tapey sounds. And then we got invited to play Rock in Rio Fest in Lisbon, Portugal. It was like almost like a fluke. Like we weren't even supposed to hit that like tier because we were playing like, you know, house shows and stuff and like playing like little clubs in the States, and then suddenly we're playing this like huge festival. It was really like inspiring in a way because it just seemed like we had like somehow made it. When I came back, that's when we really hunkered down and recorded Colors, Afterglow, and Azure. Kind of like one giant recording session. I used to kind of like freak people out about how fast I would move. We pretty much did them all the same way. We did the drums and bass to the 4-track machine. It was a little fatter sounding. And then we bounced it to the 8-track and then overdubbed over there. And so we did that for all of those songs. So at the end of the Bloomington times, we knew we were going to release more material, and we thought that LA would be the scene that we were looking for. I put a ton of stuff in a U-Haul. Here we are today. There's a certain level of what you think the LA sound is when you're like living somewhere else. Picture me in like a basement with like snow coming down, like singing like about Beneath the Sun or whatever, you know? You get here and there's just something in the air and there's like a vibe and you're like, oh, this is what people were tapping into it in the 60s. The Doors were here, Love was here, and the Beach Boys, so it's like, holy crap, they recorded right down the street? Every show in LA is like, okay, this is the biggest show of my life. People are paying attention. You only get one shot, you know? That show is done and then it's in the books. Get up there and really try and give it my best. The first time Temples played a show in the US, we got to open for them in Chicago. When they came back around to play in San Diego, we went to see them. And so we're all hanging out. Randomly, this dude walks in, and we're chatting. He's really cool, and he gives us like a CD. Flash forward, me and Josh throwing the CD. Let's walk down I get a message from Julian on like Facebook. He's like, hey, I'm listening to the Triptide stuff. I'd love our record to sound like this. And I was like, well, me and Josh could just record you to give you the same recording treatment. So we did. We brought over the 488, and through a couple sessions, we got all the tracks. And that was Ethos. Levitation, I love all those guys, and I play keys on their new record and produced that. We're all really proud of that record. Julian sort of introduced me to so many people. Like, he really did help kind of plug me into the scene as it was when I arrived. I mean, the first time I went out with him, we went to see Joel Jerome and Winter. I told her I spoke a little Portuguese. She was like, that's awesome, like, and you record too? And I was like, yeah, let's record sometime. So that's like when Estrela Magica started. She would send me these beautiful voice memos of just her with the nylon string. I was like, well, that's already a fantastic song. I'd go over to her pad, I'd bring over my cassette machine, and I would get behind the kit and we kind of like flesh it out. She would sing over it, I'd add some bass, or whoever was around. We'd have Jason play guitar on one thing, we'd have Mason play bass, our friend Kobe. That was really fun. It wasn't like we were making a record. It was like, we're just gonna get together and like make songs for fun. And then eventually she calls me up like, hey, do you wanna put these out? I think this record label will do it. Gabe from Levitation Room took all the photos. So the whole scene tied together there. I was recording a ton of demos here, you know, go from drum machine to drum demo, and eventually the Visitors record. Eventually, Josh and Dylan left, It's not like when the splintering happens, it's the end of the world. I think it's just the natural progression of things, because I think when the scene separates, it's almost like this like big amoeba or something, and something like branches off, but that could also grow into something else. When we're feeling alright. Flash forward, I met Brendan. He's a drummer of Lucille Furs. I was like, well, we need a drummer. He was like, let's do it. As soon as I gave Brendan the reins for the drumming, I was like, well, this is it. This guy's a real player. And then called Steven Burns. Hey man, do you want to play on Triptides? Yep. We've always been really close, and we'd always wanted to be in a band together, and he was totally into it. We played Desert Days as the trio. We've done a bunch of local shows as a trio. So slowly it was like, well, there's just these three people. Nirvana Now and Call of Creation, those two singles were kind of like our transition between Visitors and the new era of what we're doing. We just recorded our new record at Boulevard Recording. It's gonna sound way better because it wasn't done in our practice space. It was done in a state-of-the-art, you know, treated room with all this cool stuff. We still kept it tape. Now it's like 2-inch tape, fat as hell. It still sounds, you know, warm and toasty and 60s, 70s, whatever you want to call it. It's an advanced level of production, so we're really excited about that. Now that the record's finished, me, Brennan, and Steven have set up a home studio, and we've been demoing like every day. Like, never stop, man. We started with this nucleus of a scene when I was here, and people have gone their own ways, but maybe those will be new scenes, and that's exciting too. Like, there's always these new energies coming, and I think as long as that's continuing to happen, it's like this like ecosystem that's self-replenishing, that's going to continue to make great art and sustain itself for a long time.